Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. Today, we're going to be talking about banking and the role that it plays in the economy and the way that banks can create money, or at least create economic value. This is something known as fractional reserve banking. If we were in class, I could raise my hand, and most of you would say that you know what a bank is. You probably have a bank account. Banks play a key role as financial intermediaries. Okay, they serve kind of as the middleman for you and me, as well as investment opportunities. Okay, so what they do is they take our savings and they loan those funds out to make a profit. Okay, so banks take money that we have, we save it, and then they turn around and invest it in the economy. And that investment comes in the form of loans, and those loans are what allows the economy to grow beyond its potential. All right. So you need to have an understanding of what's of M1 money versus M2 money. M1 money is considered liquid. You might have heard of like a big liquidation sale, right? And what that means is we're trying to turn everything into cash, something spendable. Okay. M1 money is spendable, meaning you could walk into somewhere, anywhere, any store, and sell and buy something with it. Okay, so cash or a traveler's check is essentially M1 money, or a debit card, right? You can walk in somewhere and spend it. The opposite of that is M2 money. That is non-liquid money. Okay, and non-liquid money are things like investments in the stock market, investments in bonds, or investments in your own savings account, right? Savings account accounts are an example of M2 money because you can't spend immediately out of your savings account, right? Now, in today's day and age, you can easily go and switch money from your savings to your checking account on your phone or whatever, but you still can't spend directly out of that savings account. And so, banks' job is to take M1 money and turn it into M2, and M2 money and turn it into M1. So you go to them with your cash and you deposit it. You turn it into M2 money. They take that M2 money and turn it into M1 money by giving out loans. And then they collect interest on those loans to make their profits. That's why banks make money. That's how banks make money. There's a process known as fractional reserve banking. Okay, they loan out your funds, they charge interest, and that's their profit. But this process of fractional reserve banking looks like this. If you take $100 and you deposit it at the bank is required to hold on to 10% of it. Okay, if the requirement was 10%, that means they have to put it in their vault and they cannot touch it. They can't do anything with it. Okay, this process has been in place since the Great Depression, right? When there was the run on the banks and people couldn't get their money out. Well, now the banks are required by law to hold some in the vault so that if somebody shows up, they can give them their money. 90% of that, though, can be loaned out. So of that $100, they can loan out that $90. Okay? That $90 is going to get loaned out and it's going to get spent. And it's going to go back into another bank, right? Whether, okay, you go out to the family fair, you spend $90 on chips and dip. Okay, great. Then Family Fair is going to take that money and they're going to put it in the bank. Now that bank has to hold on to 10%. So they're going to hold on to $9 of the 90. That means that 81 units can get loaned out. But the important thing to remember is that this person who deposited the 100 units can still go back to the bank at any time and get their $100. So this person has $100, right? Family Fair made $90 when somebody bought the chips and dip. They can go to the bank and they can spend that $90. But this guy still has 100. This guy still has 90. This person still has 81 units, right? And so we've created money is essentially what happens. Okay, we've created economic value because 100 plus 90 plus 81. And we could go to the nth degree with this, right? We could go on and talk more and more about how it kind of goes and people we could take it all the way down to $0 being able to be loaned out, and I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. But the important thing to understand is that with fractional reserve banking, money that gets deposited, you could still withdraw that, right? You could still withdraw this $100. So we've created money by loans, through loans. Now they have to be paid back, of course, and that's great. But the whole thing comes down to the fact that we have created some money through the loan process. So banks are required, like I said, to keep money in the vault. It would be a nightmare if you went to retrieve that money and, well, we don't have it, sorry, right? So we have this reserve ratio, okay? That is a percent. It's going to be given to you as a percent. I'll say the reserve requirement is 10%. That means that banks always have to hold 10% of what they have, okay? The reserve ratio. Everything left over, so this example, right? This $90 right here, that is called excess reserves, okay? This is our reserve requirement, and our reserve ratio is 10%, right? 10%, but the excess reserves are $90, okay? Or it's 90% of whatever is deposited. Those excess reserves can then be multiplied through the economy. We could do the process over and over again. We could do this. Okay, well, what's 10% of 90? That's 9. 90 minus 9 is 81. Okay, well, that means that $81 gets put in the bank. So that means that they have to save 10% of that, which is $8.10, which means they have, you see how that could get complex? And if we wanted to take it and see how far that money could go, it would take a long time and it would be tedious. We can use the money multiplier to determine how much the money will multiply into. So the important thing is you take 1 divided by that reserve ratio, the percentage, 1 divided by 10%, or 0.1, 1 divided by 50%, or 0.5, depending on the question that is given to you, okay? Then you take that, the money multiplier, the value that you've created, and you multiply that by the excess reserves, everything left over after putting that in the vault. And so what that looks like is this. So if I deposited $100, 10% of it has to stay in the vault. So 100 times 0.10 is 10. So 100 minus 10, I take the original minus the 10, that's $90. I have excess reserves of $90. Then I calculate the money multiplier, 1 divided by 10% or 0.10 is 10. So 90, my excess reserves, times 10 is 900. So my final answer to this would be how much money is created by $100 being put in the vault? Well, the answer is $900. $900 are created by me depositing $100 in the vault through the process of fractional reserve banking. So you calculate the required reserves, or you remove them from the total to get your excess reserves. Then you multiply those excess reserves by the money multiplier, which is 1 divided by the reserve requirement. Every single problem is going to work this way. And I'm going to post a handful of problems to give you a chance to work through it. And then I will post the answers to those tomorrow. If you have questions throughout, please email me. I'll be by my email all day so I can help out if you're struggling with the math process, okay? Have a good day, everybody, and I will see you soon.